Trust is often talked about as something that lives between people. And it does. But there's another layer that doesn't always get as much attention, and that is trust in yourself. Because sometimes what gets shaken the most isn't just your trust in someone else, it's your trust in your own judgment. You replay things, moments that felt off, conversations you second guessed, instincts you ignored, and you ask yourself quietly, did I miss something? Did I know and talk myself out of it? Did I see it and chose not to? That questioning can linger because when trust breaks externally, it can fracture internally too. You begin to hesitate in places where you once felt clear. You start analyzing more, second guessing more, watching for signs that you don't want to miss again. And at first, that vigilance can feel protective, like you're learning, like you're becoming more aware. And some of that is true. It's true that experience does shape perception, but there is a delicate balance. Because when awareness turns into constant doubt, something else happens. You stop trusting in your own instincts. Every feeling gets examined. Every reaction gets questioned. You just don't observe anymore. You scrutinize. And that can be exhausting. Because trust in yourself isn't meant to come from perfection. It comes from relationship with your own patterns, your own instincts, your own experiences. And you won't always get it right. No one does. Trusting yourself doesn't mean you'll never misjudge someone again. It means you believe that you can navigate what happens when you do. There's a difference. Because sometimes we think we're rebuilding trust, that it means becoming better at predicting outcomes. But that's not always possible. People are complex. Situations change. What you can rebuild is your ability to respond, though. To listen when something feels off. To acknowledge discomfort instead of dismissing it. To give yourself permission to pause instead of pushing forward automatically. Trusting yourself grows not from always being right, but from honoring what you feel when something doesn't sit well. And that takes time. Especially if you've learned to override your instincts, to give the benefit of the doubt even when something feels unsettled, to prioritize harmony over your own internal signals. Those habits don't disappear overnight. But awareness changes something. Because once you notice the pattern, you begin to catch it earlier. You begin to listen sooner. You begin to give your own perception a little bit more weight. Not an absolute authority, just consideration. And slowly, the confidence returns. Not loudly or dramatically, quietly. In the moments where you pause instead of pushing forward, where you acknowledge discomfort instead of explaining it away, where you trust that your experience deserves to be a part of the equation. Trust between people can break. That's part of life. But trust within yourself, that can be rebuilt. And that's not by becoming perfect, not by becoming guarded, but by becoming more honest with what you already feel. And that honesty becomes a foundation, one that doesn't guarantee everything will go smoothly, but gives you something steady to stand on when it doesn't. Sit with yourself there and continue traveling. Surprise. If this feeling is where you are right now, the next step isn't fixing your life, it's understanding where you are. And that's where we begin.